Hello, my name is Stephanie. Welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. This channel is where I share with you my works in progress, finished projects, things I'm cooking up, books I'm reading, funny things the kids say. My hope is that as you watch this episode and the previous episodes that you find some inspiration along the way. In this episode, I would like to share with you a finished project. Sometimes my episodes are more vlog style where I show you some bits of our daily lives, and some of the other ones are bigger or longer podcast-like episodes where I share with you all of those things that I just mentioned. And then sometimes I break them down into individual finished projects that I can feature specific projects on their own, and I find it easier to look for things if you need to go back and look for information on various projects. Plus, they're usually shorter, so sometimes between 5 and 15 minutes, so much easier to upload quicker and edit, and more likely to have less interruptions with the kids around. So excuse me, I hear somebody yelling for me. I will be right back. Alright, I am back. They were yelling for me because the younger one said, is my sister telling the truth? And I said, about what? She said, do apples really have vitamin C in them? So they're fact checking each other, I suppose. So yes, that was the emergency. Emergency, get it? Anyway, that's what they needed me for. So back to what I was talking about. Today I'd like to share with you the Bennet Sister Shawl. This pattern is by Lindsey. Her Instagram handle is Lost and Fond. And I started this as joining part of her knit along for this shawl. And it's a very simple shawl and simple construction. And it's meant to show off the yarns that you are using. So it uses fingering weight yarn, and you can use like the same color throughout and then use like a different mohair so that it's held double on one side. You could just omit the mohair. You could do mohair throughout the whole thing. It kind of just depends on what yarns you have available and the look that you are going for. She recommends using US 6 needles and 150-gram skein of lace weight mohair, and then 200 grams of, or 800 yards of fingering weight yarn. I ended up deciding to use 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn that was the same, and then 1 skein of Surrey alpaca, which was new to me. I have not used that kind of yarn before. There is less than 400 yards in 50 grams of the Surrey alpaca, so it is fluffier than lace weight mohair, and I knew that would affect my gauge. So without doing a gauge swatch, I just went down 1 needle size for the part where it's held double, and then used the recommended needle size for where it is the fingering weight is held by itself. Now, I still ended up with the sides uneven, but it doesn't really bother me, and I mean, it's worn around my neck or over my shoulders, and so it's kind of wrapped up anyway, but you can tell that like the centering of it here is not exactly in the middle, just because one side is floofier than the other side. But again, doesn't bother me, and it's so comfy and snuggly and cozy. This was my first time making tassels like this, and I just cut out a piece of a cardboard box. I can't remember exactly. I think it might have been 4 inches. Yeah, it might have been 4 inches, and then I wrapped the yarn around it maybe 100 times. All notes, by the way, are on my Ravelry project page, and I link to that down below in the description box so you can find out details about that. But yeah, this was super fun to make, and they are so cute. And I did mine at the end because I knew I would have yarn remaining. She recommends doing them in the beginning if you want to make sure you have enough yarn for the tassels. But since the skein of yarn I was using was not a 400 yard one, it was a 460 or something, like that, I knew I would have enough afterwards. Excuse me, I am being interrupted again. Alrighty, I am back. This time somebody needed a party dress zipped up in the back, because every day here is pajama day and or party dress day. You might have your pajamas under your party dress or not, but anyway, that's how it goes around here. But yes, oh, the tassels were super fun to make. I really, really enjoyed making them, and I just used my fingering weight for it because I used up all of my Surrey alpaca. So I decided to use that as my limiting reagent and knit all the way till that was over before starting with just the fingering weight. I think everything I mentioned was all in the descriptions that are on the pattern page, so I'm not giving away anything extra, but I can definitely see myself making another one of these. The size can be adjusted very easily. You could probably make this out of any weight yarn, so if you didn't want to use fingering weight, you could probably use sport or DK weight. I was even thinking that if you wanted to do the Surrey alpaca, and since that affected the gauge so much, even though I went down one needle size, on the other side you could use a sport weight yarn to see if it would match up better if you wanted it to be matchy-matchy, or you could just hold the Surrey alpaca all the way through and have two skeins of that and just make the whole thing fuzzy. I do love how the fuzziness adds a different dimension to this shawl, because you can see how the yarn is on this side without holding it, and you can see the speckles so much better in the variance in color, and then the fuzziness of the Surrey alpaca just makes it so cozy but mutes the speckling. Both are super nice. I love how they work together, and the yarns I used are both by Heather from the Earl Grey Fiber Company. I think this is the Rose Apothecary and the Darjeeling sock, and then this fuzzy Surrey alpaca is Margot, and the Surrey alpaca base she calls White Peony Lace, I believe. Yeah, I loved this pattern. I can see myself making another one. I was even thinking of making one that omits the mohair and then just do two different colors, so like maybe a blue and a yellow, or a blue and an orange, or you could do two-toned, like a lighter purple and a darker purple, but you could go bold and do like a black side and a white side, or a gray, or so yeah, this is the Bennet Sister Shawl, and I recommend this pattern. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and cheers to being creative. Take care. Bye-bye.